Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live School Enterprise Challenge webinar on how to support your students to create a great business plan. My name is Christoph. I've been working on the School Enterprise Challenge for 6 years now, and I love supporting teachers through the steps of the program. So let's have a look at today's agenda. We're going to be looking at how to create a great business plan. And I think it's always important to begin with the why. So why should you support your students to create a business plan? And then we're going to look at the how. So how can you do it with them? How can you do it with your students? Then we're going to talk about the various activities that are involved in the business planning stage. And I've written here with examples because I'm going to try and show you a little bit how it's done. And I'm going to try and bring it to life with you so that you can picture how you're going to do it with your own students. Then I'm going to share some tips for success. Those tips that will, give you a bit of an edge against the others, might give you a bit of an advantage because you've come here today and you're going to get some really great tips on how to have the best business plan, basically. And then finally, I always try and allow time for questions and answers. So at least 10 minutes at the end will be dedicated to that. So if, I'll be doing quite a bit of talking, but if you have a question, just make a note of it or keep it in your mind. And then at the end, I'll be asking everybody for their questions. And if, something really urgent comes up and you just can't wait, then you can put it in the chat bar and I'll try and reply, but I'll mostly be focusing on my presentation. So if it can wait, please try and keep it till the end. Thank you. So this webinar is due to last no more than 60 minutes. I know that your time is really precious, so I'm going to try my best to finish on time today. So let's start by looking at why you, the teacher, should support your students to create a business plan. So firstly, it is the second step in the School Enterprise Challenge. So everybody here, I'm assuming you're registered in the School Enterprise Challenge, and today's webinar is going to be looking at step 2. So step 1, which is lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, is all about coming up with a great idea for the school business. I already did a webinar on this. If you missed it, don't worry, it's on YouTube. You can go and find it on the School Enterprise Challenge YouTube channel, and I'll also be sending it round by email. Again, I'm often promoting that recording because it was a really great webinar. So if you haven't started yet, if you haven't done lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, and you want all that advice, you haven't missed it, you can just watch the recording. And then step 2, which is the step we're looking at today. That's lessons 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And that's all creating a plan. And the third step is about launching and running the business. So turning the idea and the plan into a real business which sells, a real product or real services to real people for real money. So that's the final step, and that's lessons 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. But today we're going to be focusing on step 2. So before we go any further, I would like to run a quick poll. So you will see it flash up on your screen in a moment. And the question is, how many lessons have you completed with your students so far? So you can see there are 14 lessons in the School Enterprise Challenge in total. I'm interested to know right now, as of today, how many have you completed with your students? And I'm going to launch it now. It should appear on your screen, and I'll give you 2 minutes to answer Please be honest. If you haven't started yet, if you haven't completed any lessons, that's fine. If you're on lesson 1 or 2, that's also fine. I just want to get a feel for where everyone's at, just so I can kind of give you the best information possible. Okay, so answers have started coming in, and I can see that a couple of you are on lesson 1, a couple of you are on lesson 3, quite a few of you are on lesson 4. You've done lesson 4, so you've probably maybe you've submitted your team's business idea, which is great. And now we're going to be looking at the next step for you. We're going to be looking at lesson 5 onwards. A couple of you have completed lesson 6. A few of you have done lesson 8. So yeah, this will still be relevant for you. This is relevant for all of you, basically. It doesn't matter where you're at in the program. This is going to be relevant for you. So I'll end that poll and I'll briefly share the results with you. I hope you can see that. We have a real mix. Some of you are still in step 1, and that's absolutely fine. And some of you are about to go on to step 2. So this is going to be perfect for you guys. Okay, so thank you very much for letting me know where you are in the program. I'm going to carry on talking now about why you should do a business plan with your students. The next reason is it's a great way to develop skills. The whole program is about developing skills in your students, and this step, your students, they're going to develop skills in analysis. They're going to develop skills in problem solving. They're going to develop skills in creativity. And this, teachers tell us this all of the time. Step 2 is great for developing the confidence of the students. And this will make more sense when I talk about the activities in more detail. I think you'll understand why these skills happen in this step. But looking at this list, analysis, problem solving, creativity, confidence, I'm sure you'll agree with me that these are absolutely essential skills to succeed in life, to succeed in school, to succeed in work, and just to succeed, in everyday life. So it's a really important thing, I think. The third reason to do it is that students will have fun. And this is a guarantee. I can guarantee you students will have fun, because in step 2, there's loads of activities which involve getting out there, getting in the community and talking to people and learning new things. And it's just a really fun part of the program. Finally, if you do really well in this step, you could win a prize worth $1,500 for your school. In fact, there are 4 prizes available. So there is a top prize of $1,500, but there are also 3 other prizes of $1,000 each. So there are 4 really big prizes available. And, if you do well in this step, your school could win this. And I think just by being here today, you're going to be increasing your chances of winning, because I'm going to be sharing some really valuable information about this step. Okay. So we've spoken about why we should create the business plan. Now let's talk a little bit about how we can go about it. So the first step is to log into your online account. You should know already that everything to do with a School Enterprise Challenge happens in your online account. So, everyone who's registered has a username and a password. You'll need to use that to log in. And then once you log in, you'll need to go and find the lessons, and you'll need to go and familiarize yourselves with the lessons for this step, which are lessons 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So you, the teacher, should take some time to explore these lessons without the students. At first, it's just you, some of your colleagues, and you can explore these lessons and prepare them, basically. We have everything you need is in there. I'm going to show you in a moment, but you do need to take some time to familiarize yourself before you do them with your students. And then once you're familiar with it, you need to do the activities. So let's look at what the activities are. In lesson 5, you're going to do market research, you're going to do competitor analysis, and you're going to do SWOT analysis. Students love these activities. They're very different to what you would normally do in school. They're very different to their academic subjects. And the kids, they just love doing them. As you can see on the right-hand side here, this boy from India, he's actually doing a competitor analysis right now. He's actually talking to a business owner. He's interviewing him to find out about his business. And in the process, he's learning things for his own business. And you can imagine he's having to talk to an adult, so he's having to be confident, he's having to be authoritative, he's having to be well prepared. So it's a really great activity. In lesson 6, your students will do operational planning, and they'll think about health and safety. In lesson 7, they'll learn about marketing, and they'll also do some sales planning. In lesson 8, they'll do some financial planning. Now, this is probably the hardest lesson in the whole program. People find this difficult, and really people find it difficult because we don't have enough financial literacy. You know, even us adults, we probably didn't do enough of this at school. I know certainly in my school, they were not good at teaching me financial literacy. And that's why we've put it in here. It's an essential part of business. It's an essential part of entrepreneurship. And it's also really important. We think it's really important that children learn it at a young age. And in lesson 8, your students are going to learn about finances. And it's, I'll tell you now, it's not going to be easy. It's a tricky lesson, but it's such a good thing to teach them now, because it's going to help them so much in their life later on and as adults and so on. And then moving on to the final lesson in this step is all about deciding how to spend your profits. So by the end of this step, you'll be ready to launch your business. You'll be ready to start making sales. But before you do that, we encourage your team to get together and agree how you're going to spend your profits, so that there's no arguing and no controversy later down the line. So it's a really good thing to do at this point. Once you've done the activities with your students, you need to go back to your online account and you need to complete the exercise. The exercise is, inside lessons 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So you'll need to log in, and your students will need to go into each of the lessons and provide their answers. The answers are the results of the activities they just did. And don't worry, I'll show you what this looks like on the online platform. And I'm also going to talk about each activity in detail. Then once you've done the exercises in each of the 5 lessons, you'll be ready to review and then submit your team's business plan. And I'll show you how to do that as well. So let's go through it together. So I am going to change the screen I'm presenting. I hope you can still see my screen. And I'm going to go to the School Enterprise Challenge website, which is schoolenterprisechallenge.org. Please tell me in the chat, can you still see my screen? Can you see the School Enterprise Challenge website? Yes, great. Okay, so once you're on the School Enterprise Challenge website, you'll see in the top right of the screen, it says login here. So you'll need to click on login. This will open up a new tab, And here you will need to put in your login details. Okay, so you should have login details already. If you don't have any login details, that's probably because you haven't registered. So you'll need to register first. But I assume most of you are registered. And your username is your email address. So I'm just typing my email address here. And then you'll need to type in your password, which is your secret password that you chose when you registered. And if you've forgotten your password, you can click here and you'll be sent an email to help you reset it. But yeah, username here, password here, and then you just click on login. And when you log in, you will be taken to what is called your school dashboard. And today we're interested in lessons for step 2. So I'm going to take you straight there, okay? So you'll need to scroll down to your business teams. And you can see in my school, we have 5 business teams. We've been taking part in the School Enterprise Challenge for years. We've got loads of business teams on the go. This might not be the case at your school. You might have just 1 team or you might have 2 teams. That's absolutely fine. So you need to pick the team with which you are doing these lessons right now. So in my case, I'm doing it with team 1. They're called the Quick Card Store. So to access this team, I just click on Access Lessons here on the right. And by clicking on Access Lessons, I will be taken to that team's dashboard. So this is my team that I'm working on today. You can see these are the students involved. I can see they're called Team 1. Their business name is the Quick Card Store. And we're interested in business plan. So I'm going to scroll down until I see business plan. You can see here, you can win a prize worth 1,500. I already told you that here. So that's the incentive to do these lessons really well. And to see the lessons, you can just click on the arrow, and the 5 lessons, which I was just talking about, lessons 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 will appear. So in my case, you can see I've actually already completed these. So they already have a big tick and they say completed. So probably for you, it won't say completed because you haven't completed them yet. But that's okay. I'll show you how you can complete the lessons. So lesson 5, I can see here, it's all about market research. I'm going to click open lesson and it's going to take me to the lesson page. So I know from the poll earlier that some of you have already completed lessons. So this is going to look super familiar. And some of you haven't completed any lessons. So this will be new. So I'll just talk through it very briefly. You have a lesson title at the top, and then you have these blocks of information. So in lesson 5, we have an introduction, which is for the teacher to read. And then we have some guidance on how to teach this lesson, which is also for the teacher to read. So please take your time. Earlier I said, familiarize yourself with the lessons. This is what I mean. Go into the lesson and read everything that's on screen. So once you've read this, you can see the lesson learning objectives. So this tells you that by the end of the lesson, your students will be able to do these 3 things. So you're clear, you're the educator and you're clear, like you'll know this lesson has been a success when your students can do these 3 things. And then we have a little video for you, the teacher, because, you might know about market research. Maybe you're a business studies teacher, or maybe you're an entrepreneur yourself. So maybe you understand market research, but many teachers don't understand market research, and that's absolutely fine because we're going to tell you what it is. So you just need to read this text here and then watch this video here on the right. Just click on play and it will play automatically. And you can see here, this video was filmed in a school that's taking part in the School Enterprise Challenge. And they're talking about how they did market research. So it's a 4.5-minute video and it's really worth a watch. I really recommend that you take the time to watch it. Because if you don't know about market research, this will tell you what you need to know, not just the theory of market research, but it will also tell you how to do it with your students. So it's really worth a watch. And then if you scroll down, we have this in every lesson. We have a section called lesson resources. And you'll notice that lesson 5 only has one resource, which is the mini guide. So every lesson has a mini guide. It's a 2-page document that is for the teacher, but also for the students. And you can just click on download and it will go to your computer or to your mobile device. And then you can just read it and become familiar with what's required in lesson 5. Then we have some inspiration. So we have a school in India here where we tell their story a little bit and we tell the story of how they did lesson 5. So take the time to read it. You can show it to your students as well. They might feel inspired. Here we have a little picture from another school and we talk a bit about competitor analysis. So take the time to read this. And then here we have another example from Serbia. We try and share lots of examples. Here there's one from United Arab Emirates. So this lesson is absolutely packed with examples so that, you don't feel too lost. You can take inspiration from how other schools have done it. Once you've done all this, there's a quiz for the teacher, for the teachers. So you and your colleagues, you can take this quiz before doing the lesson with your students. I recommend you do the quiz before. So I'll just click start and you'll see it's a multiple choice quiz about things that were covered higher up in this lesson. So things which were covered in the introduction, things which were covered in the video, things which were covered in the examples. We're now going to test you on them. It's a little quiz to see what your understanding is. So for example, here it says your target market is it the marketplace where your team plans to sell its product or services, or is it the group of consumers your team intends to sell its product or services to? I might just take a moment to ask you, the audience, what do you think? So I know you haven't read anything of this yet, but if you had to guess, target market, what is it? Is it the marketplace where your team will sell its products or services, or is it the group of consumers that you intend to sell to? Let me know in the chat. Do you think it's the first option or the second option? I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay. Few people saying A and a few people saying B. So yeah, we've got an even split almost. But yeah, actually now a few more people saying the second option, and that's correct. The answer is the second option. The target market is the group of consumers, so the people who you intend to sell your product or services to. So I'll tick this one and then I'll click next and I'll be taken to question 2. You can see here there are 5 questions. I won't go through them all now, but it's a good way of testing your knowledge before you go and do it with the students. Now, I know not all teachers like being quizzed. I'll be honest, it's optional. The quiz is optional, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But, we've put it there for a reason. We think that, well, our evidence has shown that teachers who are well prepared and who understand the topic of the lesson, they get much better results out of their students. They provide a much better learning experience and everything goes more smoothly. So I really encourage you to test your knowledge beforehand. You'll be given a result out of 5. The result will appear on your screen on the right-hand side. And we usually say that if you get 4 or 5 out of 5, then you're ready to move on. You're ready to do the lesson with your students. But if you get less than 4, so if you get 3 or 2 or 1 or even 0, then we encourage you to go back up, revisit the text, rewatch the video, reread the guide. Wherever you made mistakes, just go and get that knowledge again, and then try the quiz again. Try and get a score of 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 before you move on. So that's the quiz. And then hopefully you get 4 out of 5, you get 5 out of 5, and you're ready to do the activities with your students. So you do the activities. The activities are explained in the mini guide. And you'll see at the bottom, there's a section called Exercise for Students. So this is where the students need to bring their answers to the questions. So for example, here, question 1 is a description of the market research that we did and what new information we found out about our target market. And it's a required question, and you can see here, you can type in the text box. So your students, they need to write a little bit. It doesn't need to be very long, but they can just write a few sentences about the market research that they did. And those of you that are familiar with the program, you'll know that at the end of the year, the judges will review all of your students' answers, and they will give you a level. They will either give you participation, or they will give you bronze or silver or gold. And if you're interested in getting bronze, silver, or gold, you can find out what's required by clicking on this little medal here. You see here? You can click on the medal, and on the right-hand side, something will open, and it will tell you what a bronze answer for this question looks like, what a silver answer looks like, and what a gold answer looks like. So you can see expectations are small for bronze, whereas they're a bit bigger for silver, and we have high expectations for gold. So for gold, they need to have conducted a structured and well thought out market research. They need to use 2 or more market research techniques. They need to present the details clearly, etc., etc. And at the bottom, we have a category called insufficient. So if your answer is in this category, you won't be on track to get bronze, silver, or gold. Okay. So my recommendation to you is that for each question, you check out the achievement criteria by clicking this little medal here. So that was question 1. Then we have some more questions divided into sub questions. So bring all of your students' answers here. And these are things which they will have thought about during the activities. Okay. So you'll be ready to put in all the answers. This one's got quite a lot of questions. This lesson, I think, it's got 5 questions. Oh no, 6. And when you get to the bottom, normally you will see 2 buttons. You will see one button which says Save as Draft, which is the button you can click if you want to leave and come back later. Or you'll see a big green button which says Mark as Complete. I don't have the big green button right now because I've already marked this lesson as complete. I've already finished my lesson 5. I've already finished step 2. So you can either go back by clicking Save as Draft if you want to come back later, or you can click Mark as Complete, and that will save all of your answers and it will add them to your business plan. So I'm going to show you how to find your business plan. So scroll back all the way to the top and you'll see a little back arrow here. Click on the back arrow and you'll be taken back to the team dashboard. So in step 2, business plan, we have our 5 lessons, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I showed you lesson 5, but they all work exactly the same. So I won't show you the others because I'm going to talk about the activities in a moment anyway. And yeah, you need to complete all of them, or your students need to complete all of them rather. And then once they've done that, their business plan will automatically get created. So you can view your business plan here. Just click on the view button and a new tab in your browser will open and you will see your team's business plan. So it takes a little moment to load because it's pulling all of your answers from lessons 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And it's going to put them in one nice document. So it'll put a bit of information about your team because it knows this already. And then you will see here your answers from each lesson will be here. So answers to lesson 5 are here. Answers to lesson 6 are here. And so on. And if you scroll to the bottom, you can either click the gray button to go back to your team dashboard if you're not ready to submit. Or if you've done everything and you're ready to submit, you'll have a big green button here. You can see for me, it says that I already submitted my plan 6 days ago. But for you, it'll probably be a green button here which says submit. Click submit and then follow the instructions on screen and it will send your business plan to me, to the judges, and we'll be able to review it. So before you click submit, you need to make sure that you're happy with your team's documents. I encourage to get your students to look at it, get them to talk about it. Hey, are we happy with this answer we provided? Are we happy with that answer? If you're not happy with one of your answers, just click go to exercise and you'll be taken directly to the part where you entered that answer. You can edit it, you can make changes, and then, yeah, edit all of the answers that you want. And then at some point when you're ready, just click the green button, which would normally be here, and it will submit your business plan. And when you submit your business plan, you'll get taken back to the team dashboard and you'll notice that step 3 would have become open and you'll have access now to lessons 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, which is the next step. But step 3, that's for another day. Today, we're focusing on step 2. I just demonstrated how you access the step 2 lessons and how you complete them with your students. So now I am going to go back to my presentation and I'm going to pick up where I left off. And I'm going to be looking at the 5 lessons which are in this step. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's involved because, you know, you're all teachers here. You're going to be doing this with your students. I'm sure you're interested in knowing what is the actual content of the lessons. So lesson 5, your students will be doing market research, which is basically finding out about their target market. You know, I did that little quiz with you earlier. The target market is the group of people who you're going to sell your product or service to. So in this lesson, you're going to go out and you are going to talk to your target market, to potential customers, and you're going to ask them questions. You'll either do a survey or you'll do interviews, and you'll find out about their tastes and their desires and their requirements. If, for example, your business idea is to create beautiful calendars, for example, and you think that your target market is, I don't know, maybe women between the ages of 30 and 50, your students will need to go out and they will need to find women between the age of 30 and 50 and talk to them and find out what it is that they like in a calendar. What kind of calendars do they like? What images do they want? How do they want it to be laid out? And they'll ask them all these questions and how much they're willing to pay and so on. And that's how they'll find out about how they can make, your students will find out how they can make their product. And they will also do competitor analysis, which is what this photo is showing. So you can see these students from India. They are planning on growing and selling fruits and vegetables. And for that reason, they are visiting local fruit and veg salespeople, and they are looking at their products, they are asking them questions, and they're basically doing research to try and figure out how can we be better than them? How can we offer something different than them? Basically, how can we beat our competition and be the best fruit and veg business in town? As well as this, your students will do what is called a SWOT analysis. Some of you might know what this is. Some of you might never have heard of it, so I'll explain very briefly. SWOT means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And personally, I love the SWOT analysis. I love this activity, and students really enjoy doing it too, because they get to be a little bit reflective and they think, okay, as a team, what are our strengths? What are we really good at? What advantages do we have? What's our unique selling point? And then they can also think about, on the other side, what are our weaknesses? What are we not so good at? What might we be lacking? And then they'll think about opportunities. So they'll think about, you know, are there any local events happening soon that we could maybe get involved with and sell our products there? Or could we use, you know, are we good with technology? Do we know a lot about social media? Can we really, you know, get popular through social media because like we're quite young, we're quite savvy? And then what are the threats, you know? What problems might we face later down the line? What are our competitors doing that could be dangerous to our business? You know, do we really have the money that we need? You know, so what are the threats to our business? And this is a really fun activity because I think it gets students thinking in a way that they don't get to do in maths or in science or in history. So it's a really nice activity. So that's lesson 5. And I'm really aware that I'm doing a lot of talking today. So I hope you're all doing okay. And yeah, I'm just gonna fly through the different lessons, and then at the end there'll be time for questions. So don't worry, if you're unsure about anything, just make a mental note of your question. So after lesson 5, we have lesson 6, of course. And in that lesson, your students will do what's called operational planning. And put simply, it's coming up with a team structure and it's agreeing responsibilities. Who's going to do what and when? And I love this this task as well, because as you can see here, students get together and they draw what's called an organogram, as you can see, and they divide themselves into small teams, you know. They have this team, for example, I'll read off the screen. It says they have a planning department, they have a marketing department, they have a production department, they have a finance department, and they have a sales department. Now, it is completely up to your students how they want to structure their team, and they can draw their organogram how they want. And they have loads of guidance inside lesson 6 to help them do this. It's really straightforward. And they will also do a risk assessment, which is basically health and safety. So as you know, the kids are going to be running a business, and, you know, there are precautions which must be taken. And they need to think about what are the risks, what are the chances of these risks happening, what's the level of danger of each risk, and how can we mitigate, how can we reduce that risk, and then finally, who's going to be responsible for that. And I think this is a really important activity because it kind of gives young people an insight into the real world and the world of adults. Like, this is what we have to think about as adults. And it's good that I think that the students get to think about this whilst they're still at school, and they realize, like, there are risks in life. And sometimes we can't completely reduce that risk to 0, but we can just reduce it a bit, and we just have to be careful. And I think there's a lot of life lessons to be learned there. Moving on to lesson 7. In lesson 7, your students will do sales planning. So they will decide at what price they are going to sell their product or service. And this is based on all the interviews and the market research and competitor analysis that you did. And they're also going to start thinking about sales day. They're going to start thinking about when they actually sell their products and services. So that's why I included this photo. I love this photo from a team in India. They just sent it to me recently. They said, look, we just had our sales day. I mean, look at this stall. It's beautiful. But it took some planning, right? Like they had to think like, we're going to need tables. We're going to need a banner. So it's in lesson 7 that you plan all that. And it's a quite an exciting lesson, I think. And in lesson 7, your students will also learn about marketing. So, they're going to sell stuff and people need to know about those things. They need to want to buy them, don't they? So I've just included some examples here. Here's a flyer that a school sent me recently. And, obviously we have a social media icons here. Social media can be a great way to promote a business. Just a word of warning here, I've only included 2 examples. I've included a flyer and I've included social media, but there are many, many ways of marketing. There are many other ways, word of mouth, what else? Telephone calls, email, advertising in a newspaper. There are just so many ways, like putting on an event. There are just so many ways of marketing. I don't want you to think these 2 are the only way. And my top tip to your students would be pick the marketing method that works for you, that works for your type of business and that works for your target market. So if you're targeting people, and they don't have social media, if they don't have social media, what's the point of advertising on social media? You're going to be putting all that marketing, time and energy out there on social media. If your target audience are not on social media, then it's a waste of time. So this is the kind of thing you need to find out when you're doing market research. And yeah, that's the kind of thing you need to ask people. Like, how do you usually hear about new products? And if they say, oh, I usually look in the newspaper, then that's a good place for you. Or if they say, oh, I do all my shopping on Facebook, then you'll know that Facebook is a good place for you. But don't do social media just because you think that's the right thing. Like, actually inquire first. Okay, we're nearly there. The next lesson is lesson 8. I told you already, it's a tricky lesson because it's all about finances. And in general, people find finances hard. I won't lie to you about it. But in this lesson, your students, they'll be learning about things like startup budget. They'll learn what income is. They'll learn what costs are, and they'll learn how to calculate profit. And they'll do some estimating, which is basically guessing. So at this point, they'll start making predictions. So if, for example, your students are setting up a stationery business where they sell books and pencils and scissors and glue sticks, they'll need to think, right, okay, what is it we need to buy? So they'll need to list all of the items they need to buy, and they'll need to think about how much it all costs and how many units they need. And they'll need to multiply all those numbers to find out, their startup budget to buy their initial stock. And then they'll also need to estimate how, what price they think they're going to sell it at. And then they'll do all that calculation, and that will tell them their income. And then they'll learn that, they'll learn that income is, they'll learn that profit is income minus costs, and they'll work through it line by line. And what you can see on screen here is a template, and we have templates. We have templates to calculate your income, templates to calculate your costs, and templates to calculate your profit. So you don't need to worry as the teacher. You don't need to be familiar with this, because in lesson 8, we have all of the templates ready for you to download. And then your students just need to fill them out. Once they fill them out, just take photos of the filled out templates and upload them in your online account in lesson 8. And then moving on to the final lesson of this step. I know I've been talking a lot, but this is the last lesson. It's deciding how to spend the profits. So at this point, you're about to launch your school business. You're about to start making money. We encourage your team to think, what are we going to do with that money? And it's good to think about it now so that it avoids disagreements and arguments later down the line. And, you know, your students, they'll learn about concepts like corruption and stealing and, you know, like how do we reduce the risk of a student taking some of the profit and running away, or, you know, those things. You know, these are things which are part of business. So we don't shy away from that. We don't pretend it doesn't happen. Quite the opposite. We actually have a lesson dedicated to it, and the students, they get to think about how they're going to spend their profits. So I've included some examples here. You know, the money could go to the school and it could be invested in school activities. The money could be reinvested in the business to grow the business, or you could donate it to charity. You could do anything. It's up to you how you spend your money. So the guide in lesson 9 includes loads of examples of how teams and, you know, have used the money in the past. And yeah, we encourage you to think about this before you start actually making money. And that's lesson 9. And that is the final lesson of this step on creating a business plan. So once you finish lesson 9 and you upload it into your account, your business plan, you'll be able to view it and you'll be able to submit it. And then once you submit your business plan, you'll be in the chance of winning a prize worth up to $1,500 US. So it's really, really worth doing. And talking of prize, I'm going to share some top tips with you now very quickly to maximize your chances. You know, you're here today, you made the effort, so you're going to get some inside knowledge. But I'm just going to take a quick sip of water first. Okay, let's look at these top tips together. Top tip number 1, all participants must follow the process. So, you know, we're an educational program. We have a structure, which I've just run you through. So, you know, to create a great business plan, you need to do lessons 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in order. Follow the process that I just described. New participants. So if it's your first time doing the School Enterprise Challenge, so you've never done a business plan before, take your time. Okay? Don't work based on assumptions. Do your research. That's what these lessons are all about. They're all about getting students to find things out for themselves, like go out there and understand the landscape, go and understand the target market, go and understand what people want so that they can create a product or service that is really suited to the market. You know, very often people set up businesses based on assumptions, and then, you know, they haven't spoken to real customers, they haven't analyzed the competition, and the business in general, it does not do well, you know. So please take your time, do the activities, and get, you know, hard facts rather than just assumptions and ideas. If you're a returning participant, so if you've been taking part in the School Enterprise Challenge for a few years, you've maybe already done a business plan with your students last year or the year before, please make sure you update and refresh your market research. So, you know, if you went and analyzed your competitors last year, like a year ago or before the pandemic, that is no longer relevant really, because business, it moves all the time. Companies are always innovating. Businesses are always trying to find new ways of being the best. So even if you already did a business plan last year, I promise you your competitors and they've improved. And I promise you for your target market, you know, their tastes, their spending ability, all these things might have changed. So you need to go back out there and you need to refresh it. You need to get new information and analyze that new information. So yeah, don't assume that the market has stayed the same. The market changes every year. In fact, it changes all the time. So yeah, really make sure you do this. Okay, I told you that the finances are tricky. So my tip here is to think carefully about finances. Finances is lesson 8. Take your time, go through the mini guide and make sure you use the templates. The financial templates are really good. I showed you one on the screen earlier. You don't have to even draw your own. You can just use the ones we provide. And, you know, it's important that you are realistic. And I wrote here on the screen, think item by item. So, for example, I'll use my example of a stationery shop. If your students are buying stationery wholesale in bulk, and then they are selling it individually at a profit, if that's their business model, then when they are thinking about their costs, they should write down every item they are going to buy. Way too often, people send us a finance sheet which just has one thing on it. So they say, right, we're going to sell stationery, so we need to buy stationery. So they just write stationery. And then they write, they write a price. They put $100 of stationery. That's not really how finances are supposed to be done. It's supposed to be done in a more detailed way. So your students will think, right, what are we going to sell? We're going to sell scissors. We're going to sell pencils. We're going to sell pens. We're going to sell key rings, whatever it is they're selling. So write a line for each of those items and then think, what do we think is going to sell better? We think pencils are going to sell better than glue. So we're going to order 200 pencils, but we're only going to order 50 glues, and then find out the unit price for each of these, and then find out calculate the total price. So that's why I wrote here, think item by item, because it's just a better way of doing finances. Because when you sell them, you're probably going to sell them item by item, and then you're going to have a sales log where you're just going to write down everything you sold. And it's just going to be way better if you're clear, specific items. So that's a stationery business. But if it was a bakery business, for example, what are you going to need? Don't just put baking items. What do you need? You need flour, you need water, you need eggs, you need, flavoring. Then you probably need some equipment. You need a whisk, you need a bowl. Write these items on separate lines. This will help your students to really think at a detailed level and think item by item, and it will help them to just understand everything that's involved in their business. My next tip is about marketing, and it's all about being creative. So I told you earlier, you need to choose the best channels for you, for your business and for your target market. So many teachers come to me and say, what's the best marketing method? There's no answer to that. There's no single correct answer to that, because it depends what business you're doing. It depends who you're trying to sell to. It depends what country you're in. So it's up to you to do that research and find the right marketing channel. And I wrote here, think outside of the box. Please think outside of the box. Don't just assume we need a Facebook page. Like maybe you do need a Facebook page. Facebook is great for marketing, but don't just do that because that's the first thing you thought of. Brainstorm some ideas and pick the best ones. We've seen amazing things over the years. Some teams have put on these incredible events to launch their business, or they've done flash mobs, surprise dance in a shopping center. And then they captured everyone's attention with this crazy dance, and then they handed out flyers, That's the level of creativity that we love to see. And yeah, please encourage your students to think big. And then the final one, it's really obvious. I say this in every webinar, but the business plan must come from the student. So, you're the teacher, you're facilitating, you're helping them do each of the lessons. Help them to do the activities, make sure they're safe, make sure they're really learning. And then when it comes to putting in the answers, it should be them providing the answers, particularly if they're secondary school age. If your kids are primary school, I understand you might need to type up some of their answers. But if they're primary school, let them, if they're secondary school, sorry, let them type their own answers. It's really important that they get experience doing this. The judges, they'll sense it in the answer. We're not looking for perfect sentences. We're not looking for perfect grammar. We're not looking for long paragraphs. We're just looking for genuine answers from the students themselves. And here I've written, the teacher must not dictate. You shouldn't be telling them what to write. You should let them think for themselves. And that was my final top tip. I know we've gone on for a little while, but I really want to give some time for questions and answers. So please feel free to use the Q&A button. And if you have a question, type it in there. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to type your questions, and then as they come in, I will answer them. And if you don't have any questions, just let me know in the chat box what you thought of today. I'm interested to know, did you find it useful? Would you change something about it? Just let me know. And when you're ready, if you don't have any questions, please feel free to leave. I'm not going to be sharing any more tips now. This is just open for questions. So if you're happy with everything, then please feel free to head off. And yeah, thank you very much for your time. Okay, so first question to come in is from Esther. And the question is, when is the deadline for submitting lessons 5 to 9? So ideally, the deadline for lessons 5 to 9 is 22nd of August, which is very, very soon. I understand that. So, there's a bit of urgency here. I'm encouraging you to go and do them now and go and do them, quite quickly. We can listen to you. So if you need more time, you can send us an email. Sometimes we've been able to give extensions in the past, but for now, the deadline is 22nd of August, and that's what you should be working towards. Okay. So that's the timeline for completing lessons 5 to 9 and submitting the business plan. Lots of people saying they found the webinar really useful, which I'm really pleased to hear. Thank you for your kind words. And Dorere William has posted in the Q&A and says, I'm joining the challenge for the first time, and I want to know exactly, do we have to share dreams as an individual or dreams as a group? So this is actually relating to step 1, not relating to step 2. This is a question about the very first lesson where you will do a dreams poster. So the way we recommend doing this activity is we recommend printing out or just drawing, if you don't have access to a printer, 1 dreams poster per student. So if you have 20 students in your team, you get 20 copies of a dreams poster, either printed or drawn out, and each student thinks about their dreams. They think about what they want to do after school, what they want to achieve in life, and then they think about the skills specific for those dreams that they write down. And then what you can do inside the platform, you can either upload a picture of like one dreams poster, or you could get all of your students in a group and they could hold their dreams posters and you could take a group picture. And we love those group pictures. If you go on the School Enterprise Challenge Facebook page, we have a photo album called Dreams Poster 2022. And if you look in there, you'll see some amazing dreams posters. And it's just so nice seeing all the teams from all around the world. And it just reminds us, you know, as educators, like all of our kids, they have individual dreams and we need to help them get there. So it's really useful as well for the teacher to just explore that with your students. Like you'll get to know them better, I think. Someone says, is it good to participate the students who are on vacation already? So yeah, some of you might be on vacation right now, which probably makes things a little bit tricky. What I will say is that step 1 and step 2, there are ways of doing that remotely, you know? So if you're on summer holidays, for example, and you're not coming back till September, well, I encourage you to, you know, if you can, why don't you jump on Zoom with your students as like a holiday activity and do these lessons that way. It's totally possible. You know, during the pandemic, you know, hundreds of schools did this, so we know it's doable. So yeah, even if your kids are on vacation, you can still do this. So those are the questions in the Q&A, and then I'll just check the chat because some of you are posting in there. Can we extend as it's school holiday? So as I said, you know, we might look at offering some extensions in a couple of weeks' time, if it's not a good timeline for you. But really, you know, you should be submitting before 22nd of August. If that doesn't work for you, just send us an email to info@schoolenterprisechallenge.org and we'll talk about it on a case-by-case basis. Is it okay to have 2 groups, but they have different business ideas? Absolutely. That's exactly how it works. If you have 2 different business ideas that you want to plan and launch, then you'll need 2 groups. So that's exactly how it works. So you've done it right. Someone is saying, where do I submit my plan? So I can show you. So I'll just lower this. So you will need to log in to your account. I hope you can all see this. Log into your online account. You'll arrive on the school dashboard. And then you'll need to pick the team for which you want to submit the business plan. So in my case, I want to submit the business plan for team 1. So I'll just click on access lessons. And this will take me to team 1's team dashboard. And this is where all of the lessons are. So if you click on step 1 on this arrow, you'll find the step 1 lessons. And if you're interested in business plan, which is step 2, you'll need to click on this arrow to reveal the business plan lessons. And this is how you'll find lessons 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And once you've completed all of these, you'll see a button here will appear. It'll say submit, a big button which says submit. And just click on that button, follow the instructions, and your business plan will be sent to the judges, and they will review it. Okay, a few more questions coming in. Let's see. When are you uploading step 3? Step 3 has already been uploaded. So if you complete step 2 and you submit your team's business plan, it will open up lesson 10, 11, 12, and 13 and 14. So yeah, you just need to submit your business plan, and it will open up step 3 for you. So that's ready for you now, Esther. I can see a few of you are raising your hand. Unfortunately, I can't take questions like that. So you'll need to either post it in the chat, or you'll need to post it in the Q&A. Someone here is saying, after logging in, I'm not getting the same as you on my mobile. So yes, of course, the demonstration I did is on my laptop. So you're seeing it how it would look on a laptop, but it does look different on a mobile screen because mobile screens are very small, so everything gets pushed together. So you know, my laptop screen's quite wide, but on your mobile, you'll see everything's kind of on top of each other, and you need to scroll down. So yes, the mobile version does look very different, and it's not as easy to use, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. So if you do have access to a computer, either a desktop computer or a laptop computer, I recommend you access it through there. And if you don't have a computer, then you can still do it through your phone. You'll just need to take some time to explore the platform, click, you know, just try by clicking on places, and try and find your way. Yeah, it just requires a bit of time, but you'll figure it out, because everything that I showed you is also available on mobile. It's just a little bit harder to find. Someone says we are going to be doing lesson 1 this week. That's fantastic to hear. I'm really, really happy to hear it. Lesson 1 is a great lesson. Kids love doing the dreams poster, so good luck with that. And then try and get lessons 1, 2, 3, 4 done quite quickly. You don't need to spend too long on those, and then you can get stuck into the step 2 lessons that we spoke about today. Okay. Final few questions. If we are not able to finish our business plan on time, will it be counted? So it will be counted for your certificate. So even if you submit your business plan late, you'll be able to get your certificate. Don't worry. But if you want to win a prize, you need to submit on time. And if the deadline doesn't work for you, then you need to send us an email and we'll have a conversation. Okay, final question that I'm going to take today is, most of my students don't have internet access. What can we do? So your students don't need to have internet access. It's you, the teacher, that needs to have internet access. So if you have a smartphone, or if you have access to a computer, maybe at your school or in your local town, it's up to you to go and get the resources and familiarize yourself with the lessons. Your students, they don't need access. You facilitate everything, and then they can provide you, you know, they can put their answers on a piece of paper, for example, and you could upload those in the online account. You know, it's the teacher that does most of the online stuff. The students, they just do the activities, they just do the fun part. Okay. I hope that answers all of your questions. We've gone over time, so I'm going to call it a day now. But if you have any more questions, you can send them to us by email. Our email address is info@schoolenterprisechallenge.org. I will put it in the chat bar now. That's our email address. We're available that way, or we're also available on WhatsApp. I know a lot of teachers like using WhatsApp, so I'll put the number in there now. It's +44 7722 481 841. If you send us a WhatsApp, usually within a day, we'll get back to you and we'll guide you with whatever challenge you're facing. So please don't be shy. Don't hesitate to email us or WhatsApp us. We are here to help you. You know, it's an amazing program. Kids have so much fun doing it. They learn so many skills. So, you know, it relies on you to bring it to them, but you need to know that we're here to support you. So, you know, give it your best. And if you face any challenges, just let us know and we will guide you. Okay, so good luck, everyone. Try and complete the lessons before 22nd of August. And if it doesn't work for you, let us know by email or by WhatsApp, and we'll discuss having an extension, because we want to give you the best chance of doing really, really well. So thank you very much. That was it for today. I hope you found it useful. We'll be doing a webinar on step 3 in the coming weeks. So I hope to see you there, and you'll be promoted through all of the usual channels: email, WhatsApp, social media. So keep an eye out, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next webinar. Thank you very much.